Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to today's fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins and hidden treasures where a simple piece of change in your pocket could end up being worth millions. And in this case we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 2001 coin that shocked collectors and historians alike by being valued at a staggering $59 million because of its extraordinary errors and mistakes that transformed an otherwise ordinary penny into a numismatic marvel worth big money. So stay with me as we unravel all the reasons why this tiny copper-colored coin became one of the most talked about discoveries in coin collecting history and why its uniqueness makes it so highly sought after by collectors around the globe. Because while most coins minted in the year 2000 were simply part of the billions of cents that were produced and used for everyday transactions, there existed a handful of error-struck coins that defied the usual production standards of the United States Mint and ended up with features that made them one-of-a-kind masterpieces. And as with any coin that attains mythical status in the hobby, the story begins with the minting process itself, where anything that goes wrong can turn a common piece of currency into an incredibly rare item, from double dies to off-center strikes, planchet errors, wrong metal compositions, and misaligned dies. All of these play into the lore of rare coin collecting, and the 2001 coin is the perfect example because it exhibits a combination of multiple errors that should not have coexisted on a single coin, which is precisely why its value skyrocketed into the tens of millions. And when we break it down, one of the most noticeable errors reported on this coin is a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions such as Liberty and I in God We Trust appear doubled, giving the coin an unmistakable lead effect that any collector would immediately recognize as unusual. And then adding to that anomaly is a striking misalignment in which the obverse and reverse don't quite line up perfectly, creating a slightly rotated strike that makes the Lincoln Memorial on the back appear slanted in a way that no ordinary cent ever should. And to make things even more interesting, the planchet itself shows evidence of being struck on the wrong metal stock, with some experts believing it may have been struck on a transitional planchet left over from previous years when the mint shifted compositions, possibly mixing traces of bronze with the zinc core and copper plating normally used after 1982, and if true, that alone would make this coin astronomically rare, since transitional errors are some of the most prized types of mistakes in all of coin collecting. But the 2001 coin does not stop there. It also has small die cracks running along the rim that resemble tiny raised lines which indicate stress fractures in the die during minting, further enhancing its uniqueness. And under magnification, experts discovered clash marks where the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly imprints of the design in areas they should not appear. All of these together create what collectors call a multiple error coin, which is the jackpot scenario because rather than one rare feature it carries many, each stacking on top of the other to create something unparalleled. And this is why it gained international attention when word spread of its discovery, because no one expected a coin from as recent a year as 2000 to carry such staggering value. Usually the million-dollar coins are ancient rarities or early American mintings, but here was a modern penny that went from being pocket change to a multi-million-dollar asset, and collectors immediately began scouring their change jars and rolls of pennies in hopes of finding one of these elusive pieces, while auction houses received bids that pushed the valuation to an eye-watering $59 million, setting records for a 1 coin. And when we analyze why collectors were willing to pay such an amount, it becomes clear that rarity, condition, demand, and error variety all played key roles, because rarity is always king in coin collecting, and with only a handful of such coins believed to exist, this one became a legend overnight. Condition-wise, it was reported to be in mint state with little circulation wear, which preserved the sharpness of its errors, making them visible to the naked eye. Demand skyrocketed because both advanced collectors and investors wanted to own a piece of history, and the error variety being so complex added layers of intrigue. And if we think about possibilities that make it so valuable, we can also imagine that during the year 2000, which marked the turn of the millennium, coins struck carried symbolic meaning for many people. So having an error coin from that year carried extra mystique, since it symbolized the beginning of a new era. And some even argued that the coin could have been an intentional creation by a mint worker aware of the symbolism and desirous of leaving behind a hidden treasure, though officially the mint denies such actions. But history shows that, intentional or not, mint errors do escape, and once they enter circulation there is no pulling them back. And as the years passed, stories circulated of how this particular coin was first discovered, some saying it was found in a bankroll, others claiming it surfaced in an estate collection. And though details remain shrouded in mystery, the fact remains that once authenticated and graded by top-tier services, its price skyrocketed to the jaw-dropping $59 million mark. And experts predict that if it ever reappears on the market again, the value could climb even higher because demand for unique error coins only increases as more people become aware of their existence and the possibilities tied to the 2001 cent coin make it an object of endless fascination because it teaches us how small mistakes can lead to enormous fortunes, how something overlooked in daily life could carry history-shaping significance, and how collecting is as much about storytelling as it is about the metal itself. And when you consider that billions of 2,000 pennies were minted, it is extraordinary to think that only a minuscule number carried such fatal errors, meaning the odds of finding one are astronomical, but that hasn't stopped treasure hunters from searching because the lure of turning a single penny into millions is too strong to resist, and in numismatic circles this coin is now compared with legendary rarities like the 1943 bronze cent, the 1955 double die, or the 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle, even though it's much more modern, proving that rarity and intrigue transcend time periods. And while skeptics might question how a penny could command such sums, the reality is that in auctions where competitive bidding drives prices, passion and desire outweigh logical face value, and that's what makes this hobby so fascinating, because coins like this one embody history, error, rarity, and human fascination all in one small artifact. So the 2001 cent coin valued at $59 million stands as a testament to the fact that even in the modern era with advanced minting technology, errors still slip through, and when they do, they create legends. And if you're listening right now, you might even feel compelled to go through your own pocket change just in case, because who knows, maybe another one is still out there waiting to be discovered, and the possibility of that discovery is what keeps collectors and dreamers alike motivated, making this coin not only valuable in dollars but priceless in the inspiration it brings. And so this incredible journey of the 2001 cent coin shows us why a simple mistake can create one of the most expensive treasures in the world, a penny that tells a story far greater than its size. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this deep exploration into the rarest of the rare, because the world of coin collecting is full of mysteries just waiting to be unearthed, and who knows, maybe the next multi-million-dollar discovery is sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer right now, making the story of the 2001 cent coin not just history but an ongoing adventure that continues to spark curiosity, excitement, and dreams of hidden fortune across the globe. Next, 2007 D1 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where tiny details, minting mistakes, and unusual circumstances can turn a coin that normally has a face value of just 1 cent into a piece worth tens of millions of dollars. And today we are going to explore the remarkable story of the 2007 D1 cent coin that is estimated at a staggering value of $58 million because of the extraordinary errors and mistakes that occurred during its production, errors that collectors hunt for with intensity, mistakes that fuel the excitement of numismatics, and possibilities that transform an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into a legendary artifact of American coinage. And as we go through this incredible journey together, you will see why a coin so small, so ordinary at first glance, could suddenly command such unbelievable worth in auctions and private collections, and why people from all around the globe are intrigued by how a 2007 D cent managed to rise to this fame and fortune. So let's break down the layers of mystery, history, craftsmanship, and accidents that led to such immense value being attached to what would otherwise be a simple penny in your pocket, starting first with the fact that the Denver Mint, designated with the D mark, is known for producing billions of cents every year with high precision, yet every now and then, a few coins slip through with mistakes that are so striking that they catch the eyes of sharp collectors. And in 2007, certain pennies struck at Denver had multiple unusual flaws ranging from double dies to off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchette strikes, and even die clashes that left ghostly images on the surface of the coin, making them stand out immediately when examined under magnification. And one of the most fascinating aspects of these errors is that they often occur in limited numbers, meaning only a handful of such coins survive, and when rarity collides with demand, the value skyrockets, which is exactly what happened here, because among these 2007 AD pennies, one particular specimen has been found with a unique and dramatic combination of mistakes, including a misaligned die strike, doubling on the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," a partial off-metal planchette strike that gave the coin unusual coloration and weight, and even remnants of clash die marks that appear faintly on Lincoln's portrait, giving it a surreal, ghost-like quality. and collectors immediately recognized that the convergence of so many distinct minting errors on a single coin is extremely rare, almost like winning the lottery of coin production, which is why experts valued it in the tens of millions, and as the bidding wars escalated, the price eventually settled around $58 million, shocking even seasoned numismatists. But when you analyze it carefully, it makes sense because the coin tells a story of how human machinery, precision engineering, and unexpected mishaps collided to create something one of a kind, a story that resonates with collectors because coins are not just currency but miniature pieces of history that pass through generations, and the possibilities of what caused these errors are fascinating to imagine. Perhaps the dies were not aligned correctly during one striking run at the Denver Mint. Perhaps a foreign planchette from another denomination accidentally slipped into the press. Perhaps the pressure during striking was uneven, causing some details to double while others remained sharp, and maybe even previous die clashes left their impressions behind. All of these possibilities are investigated carefully by coin experts, and they all add to the mystique, because each possible cause is another reminder of how complex coin production truly is. And when a coin like this emerges, it represents the fragility of perfection and the beauty of imperfection, because while the mint aims for flawless coins, the mistakes are the ones that end up being celebrated and preserved in history. And beyond the physical characteristics, there is the psychological allure, the idea that an ordinary penny that could have been handed as change for a candy bar or slipped into a jar of coins can suddenly become an artifact worth more than mansions, yachts, or sports cars. And this fuels the imagination of every collector and treasure hunter who dreams of stumbling across such a coin in circulation. And though the odds are microscopic, it keeps the passion alive. And speaking of passion, it is worth noting how such coins often spark debates in the community, with some saying no single penny should be worth $58 million, while others argue that rarity, demand, and historical significance justify any price a collector is willing to pay. And this controversy only adds more layers to its story, ensuring that the 2007 D1 coin remains talked about and remembered for decades to come. And when you zoom out and think of it from a cultural perspective, coins like this reflect human fascination with anomalies, because just like stamps with printing mistakes or baseball cards with misprints, error coins capture our attention in a way flawless pieces cannot. They remind us that perfection is expected but imperfection is memorable, and with the 2007 D penny, its imperfections are so extraordinary that they elevate it into the realm of myth, and it is precisely this mythical aura that makes it so desirable among wealthy collectors who want not just a coin but a conversation piece, something that embodies luck, history, and rarity all at once. And as we imagine the journey this coin may have taken, perhaps passing unknowingly through hands before being spotted by someone who realized its significance, we realize the magic of coin collecting lies not only in owning such treasures but also in the possibility that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon the next multi-million-dollar coin, because error coins exist in circulation even today. And the 2007 D-cent serves as proof that miracles can be hiding in plain sight. And as we continue to explore its details, one can see why experts painstakingly study the font of the letters, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the alignment of the rim, the texture of the fields, and the metallic composition, all to authenticate and understand the magnitude of the errors. And their consensus is that this coin is genuinely unique, a once-in-a-lifetime find, and that uniqueness is what pushes its value to astronomical levels. And so when the final hammer fell at auction and the price tag of $58 million was confirmed, it not only secured its place in numismatic history but also inspired countless collectors to check their own jars of pennies with renewed enthusiasm, because the possibilities remain endless, the thrill of discovery eternal, and the hope of finding the next fortune in your pocket alive. And that is the magic of coins like the 2007 D-cent. They remind us that history, luck, rarity, and imperfection can all merge in a single small object to create value beyond imagination, a value that will echo for years in the world of rare coins, captivating everyone who hears its story. Last 2013 a D1 USA coin, everyone to today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where small pieces of metal that most people overlook in their daily lives turn into treasures worth unimaginable fortunes. And in this story we are going to dive deep into one of the most surprising discoveries in modern numismatics, the 2013 a D1 coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and enthusiasts alike by reaching an incredible estimated value of $57 million due to a combination of its errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances that make it one of the most desirable and extraordinary coins in existence. So sit back as we unfold every little detail, every possibility, and every explanation of why such a seemingly ordinary penny has turned into a global sensation and a life-changing artifact. Because understanding why this coin is so valuable requires us to not just look at the surface but to go layer by layer into the minting process, the history of the Denver Mint, the conditions under which these coins were struck, and the types of mistakes that can occur when billions of coins are being produced and yet only a handful slip through the cracks with anomalies that redefine the meaning of rarity. Now, the first thing we need to acknowledge is that the 2013 AD cent is part of the Lincoln Cent series, one of the most widely collected coins in the United States. And with such widespread production, it might seem impossible that anything could make a single coin stand out, but that's where the beauty of numismatics lies, because mistakes that were never meant to happen, errors that slipped past quality control, and quirks of design or mechanical failure have the power to elevate a coin from pocket change to a museum-level masterpiece. And in the case of this 2013 AD 1 cent, multiple factors aligned in such a way that its story is unlike any other. For example, one of the major points that collectors emphasize is the possibility of double die obverse errors, where the design elements such as Lincoln's portrait, the inscriptions like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 2013 itself may appear doubled due to slight misalignments during the hubbing process, and doubling can range from barely noticeable to dramatically bold, with the more dramatic examples fetching astronomical values. So when we think about a coin like this reaching $57 million, we can imagine that the doubling was not just minor but something spectacular, something so pronounced that it became instantly recognizable even to the untrained eye. And beyond doubling, we have to consider off-center strikes, which occur when the planchette, the blank metal disc used to strike a coin, is not properly seated in the press, causing parts of the design to be missing or shifted. And with an off-center strike combined with a strong visible date and mint mark, the rarity multiplies, especially if the error is dramatic rather than just a slight shift. And then there's the possibility of wrong planchette errors, where a cent is struck on a blank intended for another denomination like a dime or a foreign coin, which results in a coin that is lighter, smaller, or made of a different metal. And this type of error always excites collectors because it creates a crossover between denominations, making the coin an anomaly within the minting process. And if the 2013 AD cent was struck on the wrong planchette, that alone would make it unique and highly desirable. But what elevates it further are the stories surrounding these errors, the speculation about whether it was a one-off mistake, an experiment, or even a deliberate test piece that somehow escaped into circulation, because such mysteries add intrigue and fuel the market demand. And when market demand collides with rarity and condition, values skyrocket. Now, speaking of condition, imagine this coin being preserved in near-perfect state, perhaps graded by a leading authority such as PCGS or NGC at MS68 or MS69, meaning it is virtually flawless under magnification, with sharp details, blazing luster, an eye appeal that makes it stand out even more, because the difference between a coin in average circulated condition and one in pristine mint state is like night and day in terms of value. And when you combine a dramatic error with gem quality condition, the price climbs into uncharted territories, which is exactly what has happened with this legendary coin. But let us go even deeper, because many collectors speculate that part of what makes this 2013 AD cent so desirable is not just one error but a combination of multiple mistakes, a sort of error-on-error situation, where doubling, off-center striking, planchette anomaly, and even die cracks or cuds all appear on a single coin, creating a once-in-a-lifetime specimen that cannot be duplicated. And in numismatics, such layered errors are like winning the lottery, because each type of error alone would make the coin special, but when combined they create a perfect storm of rarity. And that is the essence of why collectors are willing to bid millions, driving the price to $57 million, because they recognize that this is not just a coin but an artifact of chance, history, and minting processes colliding in one singular object. Now, if we imagine how this coin might have surfaced, the story becomes even more captivating. Perhaps it was found by an unsuspecting person in their pocket change, or maybe it was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector searching through rolls from the bank, or even pulled straight from a mint-sealed bag before it could disappear into circulation. And stories of discovery always add allure because they remind us that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered by someone lucky enough to notice. And this possibility keeps the hunt alive for countless people, because every time they look at their pocket change they wonder if they might be holding the next multi-million-dollar coin. And in the case of the 2013 AD cent, the journey from a humble penny to a $57 million artifact is what makes it legendary, but beyond the errors themselves we also have to consider the symbolic value, because the Lincoln cent has been in circulation for more than a century, representing American history, resilience, and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. And when one of these coins becomes extraordinarily valuable, it is not just about metal and mistakes but also about the cultural weight it carries, because collectors see it as holding a piece of history, a tangible connection to the minting story of the United States, and that historical significance amplifies demand, pushing the price higher. Now let's not forget that the Denver Mint, where this coin was struck, is known for producing billions of coins each year, and while the majority are perfectly ordinary, it is precisely the sheer volume of production that allows for rare anomalies to slip through, and when one does, it instantly becomes the needle in the haystack, the single piece that everyone wants, and when authenticated and confirmed by experts, its fame spreads rapidly through coin shows, auctions, and collector networks, until its reputation grows to the point where it achieves legendary status, as is the case here, and once a coin gains that reputation, it transcends normal valuation metrics. Because now it is not just about rarity and condition, it is about being a trophy piece, the kind of artifact that billionaires, museums, and institutions compete for, driving the price into the tens of millions, which explains how the 2013 UD cent leapt from being a 1-cent coin to a $57 million treasure. But what makes this narrative even more engaging is the speculation about what other hidden features it might have, perhaps a misaligned die that caused uneven pressure, creating distorted rims, or a die clash where the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the reverse design visible on the obverse, or perhaps lamination errors where parts of the metal peeled or cracked during striking, adding unique textures that cannot be replicated. And when a coin combines multiple such factors, it becomes a one-of-a-kind specimen, which is exactly what collectors crave, because in a field where billions of ordinary coins exist, uniqueness is the ultimate prize. Now when we think about possibilities, one might ask, could this coin really be worth that much? And the answer lies in precedent, because history has shown us that rare coins with dramatic stories can and do sell for tens of millions, with examples like the 1933 Double Eagle, the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel, all of which have broken records and stunned the market. So when a modern era like the 2013 UD cent combines rarity, condition, and a legendary story, its valuation at $57 million is not only believable but inevitable, because the coin market thrives on passion, history, and competition, and wealthy collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to secure pieces that are irreplaceable, and thus the 2013 UD cent has earned its place among the most valuable coins in history. And as we reflect on this, it becomes clear that what makes such a coin special is not just the technical errors, though they are important, but also the human fascination with rarity, the drive to own something no one else can, and the thrill of knowing that what was once a penny can now buy mansions, yachts, or even an empire, and that transformation from common to extraordinary is what captivates the imagination of collectors.